Hi, this is Miss G. So we're going to talk about type 1 compounds. So you need to get your Unit 4 notes. We're on page 2 and periodic table. So type 1 compounds are metals and nonmetals. So we're talking about group 1, group 2, and aluminum hooked up with an anion, which is the nonmetals, over to the right of the dark line. So a binary ionic compound consists of a cation, which is positive, and an anion, which is negative. So our cations are always written first. The positive is always written first, and the anion is always written second. Negative is written second. So type 1 contains cations with only one possible oxidation state, or one charge, like just +1 or +2 or +3. So when naming binary ionic compounds, we simply name the ions, except we add IDE at the end of the anion. So for instance, KBr, we look for it. So K is what? K is potassium, so we're going to write potassium. And then we look for Br. So Br is bromine. So it ends up to be bromide. So potassium bromide. So when we're naming binary ionic compounds, we ignore the subscripts. The little 2 there, we're going to ignore. So we name it calcium. We look for Cl. Cl is chlorine, so we name it calcium chloride. So we're going to look for Cs. So Cs is cesium. And then we're going to look for F. F is fluorine. So we get cesium fluoride. So notice that we're taking from group 1 and 2. That's our metals. Those are regular metals. And then from the right side, so from nitrogen, oxygen group, and fluorine group. We do not do the noble gases, of course, because they do not react with anything. So aluminum actually is considered like a type 1 metal, meaning we don't put a Roman numeral for charge. So aluminum is Al, aluminum. And then we look for Cl again. We ignore that subscript, and it's chloride. And then now we look for Mg. Mg is magnesium. And then we look for I. So I is iodide, iodine, and we write iodide. All right, so type 1 compounds are metals and nonmetals. That's group 1 and 2, aluminum, and we're actually going to talk about zinc and silver. Those are the only 2 we're really going to cover. Even though they're in the transition metals, they have one oxidation state or one charge. So group 1, you are going to have to memorize these, has a +1 charge. That includes hydrogen. Group 2, that's alkaline earth metals, has a +2 charge. Aluminum has a +3 charge. Silver has a +1. And then zinc has a +2. Notice that it goes kind of diagonal, +3, +2, +1. So that's kind of an easy way to memorize it. So then we have group 5, which is actually group 15. So that is a -3 charge. A group 16 or oxygen group or chalcogens has a -2 charge, and group 17 or 7 has a -1 charge. So you do need to memorize all these charges. So that's just showing the charges. So notice when we're naming, we ignore the little 2. The calcium CaCl2, we ignore the 2 when naming the compound. So compound charge, net charge is always going to be 0. So there's the calcium has a +2, and then we have 2 the Cl, so it's like saying 2 times -1. So notice that if we add those 2 together, they equal 0. So a formula has a net charge of 0. So the easiest way we do this is we crisscross the charges, but we